Hey there, Sing It Like You Mean It attendees. So glad you're here. Welcome to this session, which is all about the whole apology. Sorry, but practicing is not optional. You don't get to opt out of practice if you want to take your voice to the next level. This is the tough love coaching that I said was going to be part of this day. So, Laura, my esteemed colleague, is super nice and super sweet. And she's like a little bit of the good cop, and I'm a little bit of the bad cop. So, anyways, I want you guys to succeed. I want you to succeed, and I want you to do well, and I want your voice to grow because I know that's what you want. That's why you're here. So, I want to give you what you need, not maybe just give you what your tickling ears want to hear. Not here to simply make you feel better. Although I do hope that you will ultimately feel better. You will feel more confident about your vocals because it is grounded in actuality, because you have practiced, because you know what you're doing, and because you've worked at it. So you have your muscle memory in place, you have your range covered, you have got your tone you're working on. You have things that you have been working on. And when you work on it consistently, AKA daily, ideally, anyways, but several times a week, three, it, let me, ADHD, when you are working consistently, you are going to have growth. Now, what I see the goal of this session as being is to make it as easy as possible for you to practice. I'm going to say that practicing, like sitting down, making time to practice, I'm not good at that. I mean, I live life 100 miles an hour. You may be somewhere around there, you may be less, you may be more. But I have had to craft my craft. I've had to craft time to work on my craft. I've had to carve it out. I've had at times to fight for it. I've had to fight myself to prioritize my own voice rather than prioritizing everything for everybody else, right? Um, Everybody else is important and I love them. My family, I love them. I want to do for them. I want to be with them. I have mom guilt, 3 cases of it, plus a furry child. So lots of reasons to kind of put off practicing. But singers, you cannot. You will not progress. Your voice will, at a minimum, stay the same. No, at a maximum, stay the same. At a minimum, it's going to fall off and you're going to have the voice that you don't want. And so it's my job today to help you make practice happen for yourself. I want to help you make it as simple as possible so that you'll do it. Am I right? You've got to do it. So it's got to be simple. We're going to remove barriers. I want your practice and you want your practice to be strategic. You want that time that you have carved out of that simple practice. I mean, it could be simple, but doing ineffective exercises is not going to get you where you want to be. So you want every exercise you do to be strategic to work on specific things so that your vocal practice will be effective, so that you get the voice you want. That's what we want. That's what you want. That's what I want for you. So we want to be simple, strategic, and effective. So we'll do it, so we'll be efficient doing it, and so that we get what we want when we do it. Okay, those are our goals. And I'm going to show you my little practice system that I use that I teach my highest level clients and some of my private session clients who are with me long term. The long-term clients get this, and my group program gets this. And this is, but I mean, I say that like it's rocket science. It's not rocket science. You're going to see that. It's not rocket science. In fact, it's like the opposite of rocket science. It's removing barriers so you will practice. So it's really helping you strip down, not in that way. Come on, y'all. It's helping you strip down the whole concept of practice so that you can get to right to what you need, and have it right there at your fingertips when you need it. And eventually to memorize it so you don't even need this tool. So I'm going to launch right into it by sharing my screen, I hope. Okay, so hopefully you are seeing my screen, and I want to, let me see, make sure that, okay, looks good. Recording. Okay, I think it's, there we go. Okay, that's what I was looking for. Place video next to the shared. Okay, so shared screen. Actually, hold on a second here. Let's go back. Make sure, there we go, because I don't see the little green line around it, but hopefully you are seeing what says Fab 5 DVP at the top. DVP is my little acronym for daily vocal practice. Y'all, I alluded to this earlier. It really does, if you are in a growth mindset with your voice, it's got to be daily. If you have a performance coming up, it's got to be daily. If you have a big audition coming up, it's got to be daily. And I'm not talking about like 3 days before. I'm talking about like ideally weeks before, if not months before. If you watched my first session today, and I spoke about Lady Gaga when she was tapped or asked, I don't know what the case was, but when she sang the tribute to Julie Andrews, she worked daily with a vocal coach for 6 months. Daily. Okay. And she knocked it out of the park as far as I'm concerned. Julie Andrews is one of the best voices of the last several centuries, this century and last. Sadly, her voice is no more, not because she died, but because it was ruined accidentally in a laryngeal surgery. Super tragic, but I digress. Daily vocal practice is what it takes to get the voice you want. And here's another thing about it. When you practice, even if it's 3 to 5 times a week, when you practice, you have what I call the upward spiraling practice effect. I'm going to, I just want to convince you to do this. So I'm going to pull out my handy dandy whiteboard, which I love. I want you to see what I mean. Let's draw a little line to make sure that we are performing correctly. Here, little whiteboard. So there's a cycle. When you are here, let's say you're starting out, you acquire knowledge. Here you are. You're at the summit. You're acquiring knowledge today. We're gonna put our brain to work. We've got our 2 lobes of our brain and the hemispheres and what all. Okay, so we are getting knowledge. I put a little light bulb there. It's a bad light bulb, but hey, whatever. There's a whiteboard on a computer. So we acquire knowledge, and that's getting more exercises, learning about your breathing, your respiratory apparatus, learning how the voice coordinates, what's the larynx, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like you learning how to extend your range, learning how to work on your tone. I mean, those are all things that are input, input, input. Okay, so we gather and acquire knowledge and skills. Then we take those things that we have gathered, those learning bits, and we apply them in practice. Okay. Okay, so that's our daily practice. We apply that learning. Let me put this up here. We gather and skills. Okay, so then we take that practice, right? And we, come on, hello. We take that practice, we take that knowledge, and we practice it. We actually do it. We put it to the test a little bit. We learn to warm up our body. Like, we don't just learn in our brains, we start to do. We learn to warm up our body and our voice. We do the exercises. We do the things that we gathered in our knowledge gathering. So we do it in our daily vocal practice. That's our DVP. Okay. It's not bad for writing on a computer whiteboard. Then draw another little arrow here. And then we do what? What are we going to do to put it to the test? Like, for reals, we perform. Yes, and we perform regularly, and we put ourselves out there for people to see us and hear us. Why do we do that? A, we do it because it gives us feedback, but B, we do it because it pushes us forward. It forces us to take these things and do something with them, and gives us deadlines. Okay, maybe I'm just talking to myself, but it's also because that's most of our dreams. I mean, we love singing, but we love to share our singing with other people. Now, this does not have to mean Carnegie Hall. It doesn't even have to mean, the local stage. It can mean starting a YouTube channel. To share your music. It can mean singing at church. It can mean singing in a choir. It can mean auditioning for solos in your church choir. It could mean doing local theater, music theater. It could mean starting to think about gigging out as a performer, like performing cover songs at bars and or churches or whatever. Those are two very different scenarios, depending on your persuasion. But to keep yourself moving forward and to apply that which knowledge you've gathered and put into practice. And you have to do that. Now, at this point, and then we're going to draw another little arrow over here. Come on, computer. And at this point, okay, we are, oops, that's very bad. At this point and this point, we are observing, making observations, and we are reviewing. Okay, so we do that. I guess I just have to come over here, and I got to type it in again. Okay, so we are observing and reviewing at every juncture, really. I teach my students to observe what happens with almost every single repetition of every single exercise during practice time. That is because that is where you do that analysis. When you're in performance, you want to float, you want to fly, you want to engage with whoever it is you've chosen to share your gifts with. You want to enter into a relationship with them. You can't do that if you're sitting there thinking, oh, I hope this works out. I hope that this tidbit that I learned back here, which I never practiced or practiced one time, works out for me today in this performance because it's probably not. So you want to be observing and reviewing all along in this process. Then when you perform afterwards, then you observe and review. You ask the question, what just happened? Okay, what just happened? And that's all you ask. You don't judge, you don't criticize, you just ask, what just happened? Make observations that answer that question. Comments such as, well, that sucked, or that was the worst thing ever, or any of the above, like that does not help you. In what universe would that ever help you? It doesn't help. That is completely subjective for non-objective and is totally unhelpful. So you just want to ask the question, what just happened? And then start a list, whether mentally or physically, observing what happened either in your practice or after performance. In performance, during the performance, you're not doing that. You are just performing, you are just engaging, you're being all there 100%. So then after you have done a little more of this observing and reviewing, you observe and review officially. Okay, you make assessments. Okay, I hope I spelled that right. You make assessments, and according to that, oops, that's not what I meant to do. According to those observations and review and assessments, you make the very, very, very formal and official action of tweaking. Notice I did not say twerking. Thank you. I said tweaking. So you make adjustments. Okay, make adjustments, tweak, and then you go gather more skills and you complete this. You keep doing this cycle. Now, what this does for you is it keeps you moving forward, and you get out of a completely baseless scenario of criticizing yourself or just not making forward progress. And what this does, clear viewers drawings, clear all drawings. All right, what this does is set you up for this to happen. I call this the practice effect. Okay, as you're practicing and you're going in that circle, you know what, I should have done it the other way, shouldn't I? Because my circle went this way, so I'm going to go that way too. You're gathering knowledge, you are practicing, you are performing, you are assessing and making observations, you are gathering more knowledge, you are practicing, you are performing, you are assessing and observing, and you are tweaking. And it keeps you going what way? Ooh, up. Okay, keeps you going up. And that's the direction you want to be, and that's the direction you will be going, because as you do that practice and as you do that cycle, your voice is going to get better. You're going to start to notice it getting better. You're going to feel the effects of your practice in your performances. You'll feel it in your practices too. And you're going to be tweaking and getting better and better and better. And your performance confidence will grow. I promise you, if you follow this pattern, again, not rocket science, it just is. If you keep practicing and you keep refrain from judgment, refrain from criticism, is there truthful, here's an example of how you do a negative feedback to yourself without being judgmental or criticizing. If I did an exercise I stop and I think, what happened there? Well, um, aside from the obvious that I ran out of breath, then my voice crackled at this point of the exercise. My voice cut out at this little point when I was coming down on this one phrase. When I listened back to my recording of this, I could tell that I wasn't connecting, like the word didn't sound like what it was supposed to sound like. Um, I created a diphthong by the movement of my vowel, my jaw, and it added an extra vowel in there. So, I mean, you are making observations. Those are legitimate observations that are telling you that something went wrong, but it's like, well, that really sucked when I was letting my jaw go everywhere. And it stank when my voice cut out on that, or got scratchy on that one part or whatever, that just anything. Okay, so those terms do not move you forward. So you want to stick to making observations that are based on what happened. So that's why you always want to ask the question, what happened? Let's go back to our Fab Five. Daily vocal practice. So building your Fab Five, we're going to make this as easy on you as possible. You're going to take this, and I'm going to have it available to you as a freebie download. Gift from me, excuse me. You're going to make a big list first, and you're going to rack your brain. You're going to think, if you're taking voice lessons now, think about every exercise. Just start brainstorming. Do a brain dump of every exercise you've done with your current voice teacher. Think about exercises you've done in the past with past choral directors, things that worked for you, especially. If you notice they had a positive effect on your voice, put them on this list. Now you want to include body warm-ups. Oops, hello. I don't know why I just did that. But anyways, here we go. All right, so you want to do body warm-ups, and you want to do vocal warm-ups, and you want to do vocal workout exercises. So, and you notice here, I put focus, purpose. You need to just write a couple words about what the focus of that exercise is, so that when you're working on goals, which we're going to do on the next page, you're going to be able to quickly scan down there and go, oh, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one are going to help me reach this week's or this month's or this year's goal, or whatever it is, goals. All right, so you're going to print as many copies of this as you need to get them all down. Then we're going to go to page 2. And I said, y'all, we're going to keep it super simple and keep you moving forward. So you're going to print a bunch of these out, or print out as many as you need for a month, and you want to date it. You're going to have your weeks, the focus for this week, and then you're going to take your Fab Five, choose 5 from each of these categories based on the week's focus. Okay, so whatever your focus is for that week, because you want to have a goal you're working toward. This is what keeps you strategic. So you think, if I want to see if I can increase my range this month, then you're going to be looking back here on this page for things in this column that say range or range extension or whatever. If you're wanting to work on your tone, then you're going to look for ones that say tone. If you're going to look for low range, you're going to look for ones that say low range. If you want to work on your pharyngeal area of your voice, your mixed voice or middle voice, you're going to look for ones that say pharyngeal or mix or middle. So whatever your focus is for that week or month, that's what you're going to look for, and you're going to list them here. You want to do some body warm-ups. Body warm-ups don't necessarily focus on the vocal goals, but they might work on your being warmed up 100%, or as close as you can be, getting your body prepared to sing. It could be working on your calmness, calming the nervous system for your performance anxiety you might struggle with. It could be breathing exercises. There's a number of things it could be. So you want to put down there what body warm-ups you're going to do, then list your vocal warm-ups, then your vocal workout ones. So What's the difference between vocal warm-up and vocal workout exercises? Vocal warm-ups are kind of middle of your range. You start in the middle. You have a really what's called mezzo voice, not loud, not soft, really, and you start in the middle of your range and you literally warm the muscles. If you watched my little public service announcement, your voice is a muscular instrument. If you didn't, go back and look at it because I won't cover it again here. But your voice is muscular. You want to slowly load it with blood and warm it up, just like you would if you were going to go run a marathon. Okay, you don't just up and run, you warm up your muscles. And so vocal warm-ups are very middle of the road, and you slowly work your way out to the edges of your range. Vocal workout are gonna push the edges of that range if that's what your goal is. If your goal is range extension, if your goal is breath capacity, you're gonna be working on things to help you build your intercostal muscles or your lats, and that help you to be able to isolate your diaphragm, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you're gonna look for things that push you in whatever your focus is, and you're gonna do those. That's your vocal workout. You can do more than 5, but what I'm trying to do is remove barriers. Sometimes we think, oh, it's gonna take me so long to do my practice. I've got to have this or that or the other. I gotta when I was writing, I wrote a book that I am very proud of. I wrote a book, but I had to get over myself. It probably about 6 months. I wasted cumulatively 6 months of time. Maybe, I mean, I could be being mean to myself, but just having like, oh, I've got to be in just the right ambiance. I've got to be, I've got to see trees out my window, and I need to have like a cute notebook. I'm like, no, no. Those are things that drag out your goal. Like, get it done. This is going to help you get it done. And that's really what you want, just to get it done. So there you go. You would have 15 exercises that you would then be working on, and that's going to help you move toward your goal. And you would work on that for that week, and for the next week you would make a new list. You might just shift things around, even if you're working on the same monthly goal. You might focus slightly differently for that week, for your week's focus. And so you might just interchange some exercises to keep things fresh. And then you want to have some songs that you're working on, 1, 2, 3, doesn't matter. And you're going to focus on, write it there. That's what I'm going to focus on. And then you're going to pick a couple of these from your vocal warm-ups, or just go back up here and pick a couple of these. Do them slow and easy. You're not trying to win any medals here. You're trying to let the muscles unload from their buildup. Okay, so their lactic acid build, just because they're teeny tiny muscles doesn't mean that they're not still muscles. So just like large muscles get built up with lactic acid when you use them heavily, same thing with your voice. So you want to let it come back to a regular state and a recovered state. And then you want to do a little bit of assessment. How did the practice go? And what thoughts do I have? So this is just helping you to get there, friends, to get there, and removing barriers, helping you move forward with developing your voice. I do hope that this is helpful to you, and that you find it simple and easy to use, and that it really does keep it simple for you, keep it strategic, and therefore make it very effective, and that you will soon start to experience that upward spiral of when you start to feel the effects of your practice. You learn, you practice, you perform, you feel the effects of your practice and your performance. You can fly a little bit more every time. You make little tweaks and adjustments that make it even more efficient. You're singing more efficient and more effective, and you can then focus more on your message, and you can focus more on connecting with your audience, whoever they are, wherever they are, no matter how big, no matter how small, that you can focus on making that connection and creating a moment with whoever it is that you're going to share, even if it's your family in the living room. Um, I hope that you're going to find that you love your voice more and more, and you are more and more encouraged to go gather more exercises that are going to help you practice more efficiently and effectively and strategically, and that's going to make you fly even higher next time in a performance. That's going to make you feel even better about getting more. That's going to help you. So, see what I'm saying? Upward spiral, friends, upward spiral. All right. Hey, y'all, thank you so much for being here at the Sing It Like You Mean It Summit. Um, just delighted that you're a part of this little movement we've got going here, and look now to the next session